What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Burly Fishing Podcast. We are live, and we have another special guest for you guys. We're keeping the guest train rolling. So tonight we've actually got Shan, the man, O'Gorman. He goes by the Aquatic Biologist. You can find him on Instagram at aquatic_biologist if you guys want to look him up. But Shan, thanks for being here, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you guys don't know or you don't follow him yet, Shan is actually a fisheries scientist from the University of Georgia. The man knows things. He's seen things. He knows things. He's been to a million HOA meetings. You're going to hear about stuff later. What do people try to install in their backyard? We're probably going to ask some of these questions. It's coming up. So today we're going to be talking with him. We're going to have a good time. You guys will probably learn something. I know I will, and I'm excited to. And this is going to be super fun. I've also got my guy Paul here. What's up, Paul? How we doing?
Good.
What's up? And we also have a giveaway for you. I don't know. I think we're doing this every single week. So live giveaway. You got to listen tonight because the announcement comes at the end of the episode, people. But we got $25 from our sponsor, MONSTERBASS. They've been so awesome to sponsor us, to hook us up for basically every live podcast we do. So you guys got to give them a shout out. You got to thank them for this. And they're, wrapping up their live. So we'll probably get some people crashing over here from that show as well. So again, you guys want to check them out. It's a monthly fishing subscription box. It's not expensive. It gets you a ton of awesome baits. It is regionally selected, and you can use the code SAVE15, SAVE15. It's all caps, $15 off your first box. Check it out. All right, spiel done. Oh, subscribe to Burly Fishing. Follow us everywhere. All the cool stuff. We're not important, but you definitely should. And listen to the podcast, 5-star review, all the stuff. Let's go, Paul. Let's do an episode here, eh?
Yeah. So we always kick off the episode. We like to slow roll it with a fun question. We call it the Q of the D, the question of the day. So this one, again, easy. I don't know if you're familiar with Marvel characters, right?
A few.
You know one or two.
Yeah.
So if you had to pick a Marvel character who would make the best angler, which one would it be, and why?
Well, that is interesting. What about Spidey? He's Marvel, right? Spider-Man?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
He counts.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I'm going with Spider-Man.
He would give you the thwap. Like, if you were going to lose one,
that would be deadly,
on,
man. All I need is a nice top water plug to get him close, and I got it.
You would lose a lot less baits, too, now that I think about it. It's, like, very legit. Like, the whole tree problem, not an issue. Whoop, thanks, bro.
Boom. I'm going Spider-Man all the way. Absolutely. My favorite.
I like that. I will
so
take
someone
your
said
Spider-Man.
Aquaman. That's not Marvel, is it? Oh,
That's
it is.
DC. That's DC,
That's DC,
y'all.
right?
Nope. Come on, nerds.
Nice try,
DC
kid.
for sure. Got you.
Yeah.
All right, so I will take your Spider-Man, and without taking, because I really love your choice there. I think that was a great choice. By choosing a different character, I'm gonna go Iron Man. I'm gonna say that Iron Man. He has to have just the best stuff. We're talking like $500,000 sonars. We're talking a boat that goes 600,000 miles an hour. Like, he gets on the spot in 0.5 seconds and he can see everything down there that's ever existed. He's finding dinosaur bones and he's pulling them up off the bottom. I'm going Iron Man.
See, I don't think he has the patience to ever go fishing. I think that dude.
He would pay everybody to do it for him.
Yeah,
but it counts.
Exactly. He'd be like, Pepper Potts, please catch this fish for me. Thank you. I'm gonna go a little bit. I'm gonna go weird here. I'm gonna go Bruce Banner.
The Hulk.
Because I think
He's
not the Hulk.
smash
I'm
all the water out.
I'm going just straight Bruce. I think
Just regular Bruce.
I think
non-Hulk?
Bruce. He has the inner calm. He has to remain very zen, and I feel like this would just be like the only way that he could not become Hulk. I just feel like that, and he would be like. That's what he would do.
I don't know, man. I don't know, because what happens if he shakes like a 12-pounder off at the bank? That everybody's in trouble.
Well, then it'll just empty the lake.
That's what I thought you were going for. Is he just like Hulk smashes the lake? It's empty. He just
Supersonic. Yeah.
grabs all the fish, right?
I feel pretty good about my choice.
I like your reasoning behind it. I like the story. Give you both an A+. I think it's
I'll take a B for effort. All right, I like it. So we're going to get into the show meet the good stuff. So the first question I have is, out of all of the options that you could have had and directions you could have gone in your life, what compelled you to go the biology route?
Oh, interesting. I went to Valdosta State for a few years, which is real close to Florida, in South Georgia. And a guy came and did a speech, and he was a fisheries scientist. He was actually a marine scientist over on the coast. He worked in that division. And at that point, I didn't have a major in school or anything like that. I was always a fisherman. My dad taught me when I was a kid, and I just always liked to fish. I grew up in the country. There was just ponds that we could fish around, you know. So I saw that guy do his talk. I had no idea you could even major in fish in college. And I said, that's what I'm going to do.
You just pulled the trigger.
Yeah. I said, well, where do I got to go? And fortunately, there was one fisheries program in Georgia at the university. So I had to transfer up there after a few years. But that's what I did. And I kind of had no idea what I was getting into. It is very, very hard. Organic chemistries, all the sciences, like you're in class with people who are going to transfer to become surgeons and that kind of thing. That's all science, you know. So I got up and got into the deep end of the pool at Georgia real quick.
That's no joke.
Yeah, it wasn't. It's very, very difficult. And like even your state biologist guys, you know, just get a statey job like that. Those guys are master's level, you know, educated, some PhD level. And it's tough, you know, you got to be smart.
One of our really good buddies is actually one of those guys.
Yeah.
And he is way smarter than me. So how do you go? So I was actually going to ask, did you ever consider going like the DNR route versus going the private? Because just so folks understand, and if you're not following Shan on Instagram, go do that. Charles, if you could throw his handle down there for people who weren't listening,
they'd be missing out.
Definitely go do that. But so you are, or used to, I guess you'll have to clarify, you were managing a lot of different small bodies of water, right?
Yes. So what happened to me there was once I got to Georgia, I was a lifeguard in the summertime. It was a cool job, you know, we didn't have to work too hard, sit around, talk to girls. It wasn't bad. I've had a lot worse jobs. But the guy that I worked for, they worked at, you know, for homeowners associations and their community pools. So when I got to Georgia and I saw pond management, it immediately clicked in my head that all those pools that I was working at had ponds in the neighborhood, you know, or half of them did anyway. And there wasn't anybody taking care of those ponds. So I approached those HOA committees while I was still in college and said, hey, this is what I'm majoring in and this is what I'm going to do. So I kind of went into the private working for myself before I even got out of school. And that's why I didn't go the state route. A lot of guys do go the state route and go get some experience that way. But I just kind of went that way, you know, self-employment.
You just did what you knew.
Yeah. I mean, I just kind of fell into it, really. It worked out. I mean, it wasn't vast sums of money or anything, but I made a living and I worked for myself, and you know, it was a good job. I enjoyed it.
I would definitely say welcome to real life, because I feel like when people are in school and they tell you like, you're going to major in this and you're going to end up doing something totally different, like that does not hit you until you turn like 35. And then you're like, how did I get specifically here? Because like I started somewhere totally different and now I'm in a totally it's unreal.
That's it, man. I think like the one thing I could say about that is people think that I would have a vast amount of fisheries science research under my belt, and I really don't, because most lake owners don't care about fish, and I didn't even, that was something they line itemed out. So what I found myself doing a lot is, you know, writing bids that got line item down to just basically like weed control or dredging services or dredging surveys, things like that. They weren't, you know, they just weren't interested in fishing. So I had a lot of lakes that I really wasn't being paid to manage for the fisheries, but they were small enough bodies of water that I could. So I did, because I felt like it was my responsibility. And I learned a lot just by taking that and, you know, taking hold of that and getting control of that and like assessing the fishery and changing it. because there were some fishermen in those neighborhoods. There were some people that were interested in that, and I got a lot of reward from those kids and those fishermen.
I wish there was a Shan managing my neighborhood pond, because I know that there's like 8 kids who all like would kill to go over to that pond and catch like bluegill or bass. Like, would they be all about that life? And I'd like to take them over there, including my son, in a couple of years, but it probably ain't gonna happen. So one of my questions is, what is like your like what if you could like in that part of your business like pick one piece of water to work on for fish, what would it be? And we actually, before you get to that, had a great question, and this one's pretty easy, I think. Explain the importance of like the fish coat, like the slime, if you will, that's on a bass. Like, why does that need to be protected? What's the whole thing around keeping them wet?
Yeah, you wet your hands when you touch fish. And if you set them on the ground, set them on wet ground. If you set them on a scale, make sure you just dip some water with your hand and wet the scale. It doesn't have to be soaking wet, but it has to be wet. Mm-hmm. What happens is if they get touched by anything dry, it will just literally peel that slime away, kind of like a piece of tape. And then that slime is a protective barrier. And because you got to understand, if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. They're in a pond, it's full of bacteria. So that slime creates a protective layer between their skin and that bacteria. So when you remove it, you're exposing their skin to bacteria. And you'll see it a lot. Sometimes you'll see those black spots that just look weird. Start paying attention to those black spots. You can usually see their fingerprints. If they're real widespread over the fish, they were probably grabbed whole as a small fish and had most of their slime coat pulled. And then they got a bacterial infection over most of their body and then grew up and turned that weird dark color. That dark color won't go away. It's how bass like change colors from muddy to green, they go silver. All right, well, that pigment cell, it gets damaged by those bacteria and it loses its ability to do that.
That's probably only 300,000 times better than my explanation of that, which is don't do it. It's not good.
It's bad for that fish, dude.
No, yeah, it's not good for him, man. It's not going to kill him necessarily. I mean, I guess it could, but I don't really put it in the category of like you're killing the fish. But at the same time, you're stressing the fish. And if we're going to be releasing the fish, let's try not to stress them as much as we can. Let's try to protect them. If anybody follows me, I don't have a problem with people keeping fish. And a lot of times that's most of my recommendations, especially here in the South. We have a lot of good bass reproduction. We don't have a problem with them reproducing. They tend to crowd. And a lot of my recommendations are to keep those fish so the other ones can grow.
We're gonna get to that specific point in a little bit.
Are we hammering catch and release?
No.
Protocols? No.
Well, I hammer catch and release, but I hammer it on specific sizes of fish.
Right.
And all right, we're gonna get into it.
That's what I was saying. Are we getting that in the show? Is what I meant.
Yeah, we were, but now we're just gonna get right into it.
I think this is valuable information though.
Oh, it is.
Because if we're all fishermen and women here, and we're gonna catch fish, and we're gonna release fish, we're gonna be bass tourneys, whatever. This is good. This is good. And I just learned something already, and we're like T-minus 5 minutes into the show, so let's learn more things.
So let's get in here. So someone just made a comment, and I'm gonna actually, this kind of speaks to that comment. So I don't care for the taste of largemouth bass, and I'm gonna go ahead and lump that into and/or smallmouth bass, right? So bass
and/or rainbow trout and/or every other game fish that swims around in the water. Yeah.
And now
that's okay. That's okay. Yeah.
But explain to people why and how, and this is sort of the state management thing that you'll see in every single state. There are catch and keep limits. Sometimes there's bag limits. Sometimes there's slot limits. It's not important what those mean. What it means is there's a certain number, a certain size, or a certain category of fish, depending on whatever it is, whether it's walleye, bass, or bluegill, whatever. It's panfish. There's a certain limiting factors that determine how much you can take, as a single angler, and what you can take as a single angler. Now, kind of go through not only why it's important that those are there, but why it's also important, or like why they're there, but why it's important that people actually take advantage of it.
Right. Let's see, how do we explain that? So our catch, I would set a slot limit on a lake that I manage because, like I said, I'm seeing some crowding and I want to remove the fish that are underweight. So we run a test called relative weight. And what that means is the bass's weight relative to average. So
average for that piece of water, or average for like
average for the United States. So I've got a chart or a sticker. I've got stickers for it and stuff, but they're all over the place. Relative weight charts, you can get them anywhere. The numbers are all basically the same because back, I don't even know, man, probably like the 50s or the 60s or something, they got together and all the scientists sent in a bunch of data to the American Fishery Society, and they averaged all the weights of the fish. And they said, we have to have a standard. So they averaged all the 12-inch fish in the country they could collect the data on, all the 13s, all the 14s, okay? And they said, okay, this is the standard average weight for a largemouth bass in North America. All right, now we have something to work off of, right? In the South, with a longer growing season, you should see weights heavier. In the North, with a shorter growing season and other predators, you might see less, right?
Alabama versus Michigan. You're going to see a bigger bass in Alabama.
Well, that's what you would expect, but I would lay dollars to donuts that it's the opposite right now.
Oh, because
95. Yeah, because literally there's so many bass. This catch and release has gone on for so long.
Oh.
These bass can't grow anymore. So most of the lakes in the South don't have bass that grow very well.
So that's why that's what I was getting to when I say that when someone said, like, when they put those catch and keep limits on, it's important that people take advantage of them because the state agencies are trying to promote some of that so that they can, to your point, when you're talking about doing a slot limit, you're targeting a certain size fish that they want to remove from the population. So if you have a whole bunch of fish that are moderate size and below average, if you can get a lot of those out of the population, you're keeping the larger fish, but you're also all the other forage that those little fish were eating, they're no longer consuming it, and that's now reserved for your larger above average fish, right?
Nailed it. Very good observation, sir.
Yeah. And so that's why when people are like, first of all, I want to say one thing. There was that comment about bass. You don't like the taste of bass. I'll challenge you. Get a smallmouth bass. Keep it cold. If you can bleed it, bleed it. If you can take care of it instantaneously, do that as quick as take care of that business as soon as possible. Take it home, take it cold, let it sit for a little while. I do think the whole soaking in buttermilk is a real thing. I like it. Let it soak overnight. But if you don't, just keep it cold. Whatever you do, just keep it cold. The next day, go ahead and fry that with whatever seasonings you want, lemon pepper, Cajun, salt, pepper, whatever. Fry that and make yourself a po' boy sandwich. That is my personal favorite way to have a bass. And I'll tell you right now, I agree, not Old Bay, Charles.
Not Old Bay.
I'm not. I think Old Bay is trash. I'll say it right now. I'll fight that fight. I'm ready.
Family show.
Bring on
demonetized.
But I'll tell you right now, if you have one of those if I can make you a bass sandwich, or you can break it up and mix it with bluegill, or like any other kind of panfish that you like, those two ways, I promise you won't look at a bass the same way. You'll start seeing little hamburgers swimming around underneath your boat.
Little hamburgers swimming around. It's the Michigan po' boy. I love it.
Well, I like if we could think about it this way. Let's say you have like your homeowner's pond there at your neighborhood. All right. Let's say, do you know how many acres it happens to be?
Oh, it's probably like 2 tops.
Okay. 2 acres. That's fine. I don't know Michigan numbers, so I'll just work off Georgia numbers. You would have to remove, let's just say we went out there and said, oh, there's a few too many bass in it. You would probably have to remove 50 bass around a pound out of 2 acres before you're even managing the pond. Okay?
Say that again.
Until you've removed 50 fish, those bass aren't even going to begin to start growing again. You haven't done anything. So if you kept 2 or 3, you haven't done anything.
Yeah.
Okay?
Wow.
It's okay. There's a certain amount of fish that can provide like a garden. Okay. So I like to put it to people this way, to put it into a different frame of mind. What if I told you at Whole Foods they had organic, locally grown largemouth bass fillets for sale? What do you think those would cost?
Literally nothing.
I think they'd be $19.99 a pound at Whole Foods.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Foods.
I see what you're saying.
Okay.
I'm with you. I'm tracking.
What is
that seems
any
low,
other?
I'll be honest.
What is any other? What is any other organic protein going for now?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Tons.
Yeah, no. You go try and get your locally sourced, wild caught Atlantic salmon.
There you go. How much does that cost?
Like $25 a pound. No problem.
Yeah. Too many dollars.
And you can have that. You can feed your family. You can have some protein from your ponds, and help your pond's fish population.
So that's the key. Now, and here's another one too. So that's looking at a single species where maybe you've got a limited species, and you just posted something like this about crappie, which I feel like I'm assuming you got heat over this when you called crappie a trash fish. I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah.
I'm assuming it was just like a red wave of just
stirring
you had
that
to,
pot.
Turn up the
Right.
and chuck it out because
Paul stirs the pot all the time. Paul will throw things out there on purpose to get yelled at on Instagram. So he feels you. Just get off my show. Why you do these things?
Okay, well, let me put it to you this way. Okay, if you take that 2-acre pond and you stock carp in it, okay, I have to drain it and start all over to fix it. If you get snakeheads from China in it, I have to drain it all over, start all over again and fix it. And if you put crappie in it, I've got to drain it and start over and fix it. So you tell me what it is a trash fish or not.
But explain. This is good. This is good though. But explain, because what's happening? What happens if you? We'll start with this. What happens if you don't drain it and you try and fish out the crappie? Like, why is that? Why is that not a good answer? Because that's what people say. They'll be like,
"Well, that's a great question.
I'll leave all the bass. I won't keep any of them, and I'll get worms out, and I'll just get all the crappie out of my little 2-acre pond." Which is, you look at that, you're like, I'm king of this domain.
Okay, go to my Aquatic Biologist page, and a friend of mine, his name's Mickey Wilson, is at Farm Pond Life. He's probably watching right now. We're about to drain his pond. He's got exactly what you're describing. Okay, we've already drained this pond once, actually, about 18 years ago. So what happened? He's got a stream that feeds a 9-acre system, and I can't keep the competing fish out. Crappie being one, suckers being another. When you have a stream, you have a way for other fish to get into your system, right? So what happens is, over time, the crappie spawn early in the spring. Like right now, our crappie are full of roe. Right now, actually 2 weeks ago they were catching them full of roe. So the crappie are pre-spawn here right now. They're about to pop. The bass are nowhere near that. Okay, so the crappie spawn, and how any fish spawns, they spawn millions and millions of fish in, right? Well, a month from now or 6 weeks from now, when the bass spawn, they have crappie big enough to eat them, all in the edges. Okay, because that's what crappie do. They feed on other fish. So you're losing your bass reproduction every year to those crappie. And some years you can lose all of it. Some years you won't lose any of it. It depends on how the spawn lines up. Okay, but what you're doing is throwing me a wild card variable into my system that I can't control. All right, I have no control of what happens to that crappie population, but I can tell you what generally happens. Because I know people are going to go, I've got this pond and the fishing's great with crappie. I've heard it all, okay? I'm telling you, if you want to pay me money to stock your lake and do it properly, I've never stocked a crappie. Never, not once.
If you're trying to grow bass.
If you're trying to grow anything, because what happens is when the bass get out of whack, all the other bait fish do as well, and you end up with a whole pond full of 3-inch bluegill and 3-inch crappie.
Yeah, because they'll eat themselves out of space.
The crappie cannot control the bluegill population, but they also compete with the bluegill for food. But they're really good at competing for bluegill and really good at eating bass.
They're just a big spoiler.
They're just it's trash fish.
I love it. Now that's not to say they don't taste good. I mean, that can't really be up for debate, can it?
So they're excellent table fare. Let's put some numbers to it though. We got a 9-acre system in Thomasville, Georgia that my friend who's been fishing his entire life just went, and he's like, all right, we just did it. And if you go back through my feed and look up Texas Pond and look at the information that we have there, you can follow it for the last year. Okay. I bet he's removed 1,800 pounds of crappie out of that lake.
Jeez.
And I haven't even seen an increase in the size.
1,800 pounds of crappie. That is insane.
Yeah, I would say there's probably been like 1,600 fish removed at about 1.1 pounds, whatever that comes up to.
Good grief.
And we haven't even, our bass are still skinny.
Oh, Jeff, we got Max Basson coming in here with
Max Basson popped in, hit us with a super chat for $2.
That's a big cheers.
He says it's all his allowance. So Max is the dude. Max is our guy.
Max just went ahead and emptied the bank account. Thank you, brother.
Dump that piggy bank. Let's go. But P.S. Max, go to Rick, say, pay me. I do all the work on this show. I wear a suit sometimes. I put, the stripper lights up in my room. I do work on a school night. Like, where my money at, dude? Just go back to Rick. Demand it.
So Shan,
take a stand.
Shan, Max is would we call him the co-host? Is Max the co-host of the?
He's the host as far as I'm concerned.
Max is in charge.
De facto host of the live stream for MONSTERBASS that happens right before this one. So he came over here and supported us, which, show us the love. We appreciate that. Mm-hmm. But, I agree. I think Rick, the owner of MONSTERBASS, I think he needs to come up with some scratch for my guy.
Let's go, Rick.
He came in all caps and says, Max says, I'm the co-host. That's loyalty. I would have taken the host title for sure.
For sure. Just swipe it, man. Just take it. Funny. Take what's yours, Max.
All right. So I have a question. With the whole thing with draining, because I've seen you post a couple of times about why it's important to understand why, like from an economics perspective, and also from are you gonna be all right, Jeff? You're having trouble swallowing. You can't swallow.
I was so excited to learn some more. Took a big old swig there.
He obviously has a drinking problem over there.
He's got a drinking issue. So it doesn't do it enough. So the question would be, why does it economically make more sense to drain it? And then but then also, I think it's attached to this. Why is it really the only way that you can not guarantee, but that you have the best chance at trying to do what you want to do, which is have the fish you want at the size you want in the quickest time frame?
Yeah. You have to drain it because you can't get them out. I mean, just like I said, we have put a massive effort into trying to harvest enough fish down there to make a difference, and we can't do it. And I can't even do it with an electrofishing boat. Okay, I have to what I call a hard reset. So you drain it, all right, you get all the fish into one area, you clean it up. All right, now the pond, when it fills back up, we treat it so those fish die. We let it fill back up and we restock it. Now at that point, I don't have to restock. I don't have any adult bass in the system. So I don't have to restock it with large fish. Okay, if you didn't want to do it that way, okay, 1 to 2 inch bluegill you don't have an option for those anymore. Okay, now you have to stock 4 to 6 inch bluegill, and I'm talking about the difference between like 20 cents a fish and 70 cents a fish. Okay, so when you're talking about stocking, say 1,000 fish per acre at 70 cents a fish versus 1,000 fish per acre at 20 cents per fish, I didn't measure in math. Now, you take those 4 to 6 inch bluegill and add them to that pond, I'm going to have to do that almost annually to try to combat what the crappie are doing to me. Whereas I only have to do it once with much cheaper fish when I do the draining.
So
and that's
upfront.
That's just part of it. I mean, it gets into all right, let's put it to you this way. As a consultant, I would rather you be a wuss and not drain your pond because I'm going to make a fortune.
Got you. I see what you're saying.
Nice.
I can charge you extraordinary amounts of money for, and basically you're not going to get, and again, we're about to drain this pond and I'm just about to show people what I'm talking about. Okay. Yeah. Because when you see what I'm talking about, you'll be pulling the plug on your drain, on the drain on your pond.
Do it yourself.
Yeah.
I love it.
So we just had another super chat
Chris.
from
Always
Chris.
coming in hot, but he says 4 max, so I don't really know if he can.
Wait, so are we to donate this to Max? Max did just say that I guess he got a real nice camera from Monster Bass, so I guess he can't complain too much. But yeah, thanks, Chris Shue. You rock.
B. Dooley has a question that I feel like has been answered, but I'm going to let you do it very succinctly. Hopefully, it's probably going to be a 2-word answer. So if you have crappie in your pond, can you put enough bluegill in your pond to still be able to have a trophy bass pond?
Yes. You're going to be spending more money to do it. I have done it. What I'll do if you insist that I, have to manage the pond that way is about this time of year, about another couple of weeks, I'll get my shocking boat fired up. And when the crappie get on bed, I go take them all off of it.
Got it.
Now, people think that is a solution to the problem. It is not. It's not really that much different than what we did down at Wilson's just with fishing rods. I cannot get all the crappie out, but I can put heavy pressure on them. I also have plenty of ponds that have excessive numbers of bass at about a pound and a half size. So I can, if I see your reproduction is getting wiped out, I can add large bass to the system to help control those crappie numbers. Those large bass are $12 a pound.
Oh, what? Wow. That is
worth it. Like I said, you want to get your folding money if you want to play this game.
Yo. All right. And we were talking about, if you guys remember, 1,000+ pounds to not make a dent, and you're talking about replacing that with cash. That's brutal.
Yeah, and I mean, we're probably going to be somewhere on 9-10 acres of water, retail cost, ballparking probably $3,500 on the restock. 3 years from now, I'll be catching a dozen 8-pounders a trip.
So I really need to start shoveling then and saving up. That's what I really need to do because I need one of those.
Yeah, is this a retirement fund? This goes into retirement?
Oh man, this comes out of the retirement fund today.
Okay, pull it.
So
hopefully you were on the stocks recently.
Yeah, no kidding.
You made mistakes if you weren't.
Yeah, you'll have world-class bass fishing if you do a hard reset. And if you manage your pond after that, I mean, again, some ponds you have to hard reset more than often, maybe every 10 years, because that's just how you have to manage them. Others not. Others you just reset them once and they're good to go.
So a lot of these ponds man-made, I'm assuming, a lot of them. Yeah. So do you recommend them like plopping structure in on their own, especially if you drain?
Oh, absolutely. That's a big part of what we'll be doing. One of the guys that started following me a while back, American Fish Tree, that guy's got a cool product. I've been sinking some of his PVC structures.
That's what I was gonna. That was gonna be my question. Is what do you recommend?
It's the plastic, man. It's like let's see. How do I explain this? Okay. HOA ponds, I had a couple of them, 35 to 100 acres in that region area size. And we had some fishermen, and they would bring like the Christmas trees.
Yep.
Every Christmas, they'd have a drop off. So we'd end up having you'd have to buy rope, you'd have to buy block, you'd have to get the barge, you'd get the volunteer day, you get all the guys there to tie all that stuff up and throw it in there.
16 cases of Bud Light.
I mean, it's an ordeal. It is. And it's in the middle of the winter, so somebody ends up falling off the boat and getting hypothermia.
Sorry, 20 cases of Bud Light.
That'll fix anything. You'll be fine. Walk it off.
And if you had to pay all those people for the effort to get those trees in, it's just an astronomical cost.
Yeah.
Where you take American Fish Tree, you buy that thing for $150, you put it together by yourself, and you flip it off your John boat. So yeah, you do have to give more money for the structure, but you just forfeit like every bit of like labor and intensive.
Yeah.
Like it's
also
an
not
awesome
gonna,
product.
It's also not going to cut your braid.
No,
right?
I got crankbaits coming right through it, man.
It wouldn't even matter. That's kind of sweet.
I've seen a lot of guys, doing the pond thing, doing that. Maybe we'll have a Burly fishing pond.
That's what I said. It's coming right
How
out
soon?
of the retirement.
2075. Got it. So 2075.
Yeah.
We'll have Burly fishing pond. It's gonna be great. Stay tuned. What is YouTube been?
So the
I want one.
This was a question that this is like the thing that I really wanted to ask, especially for other people. But you kind of have answered it a little bit on your account. But let's say I want, because a lot of us don't have ponds, a lot of us don't have stock ponds, a lot of us can't afford to have water managed or anything like that, no property, whatever it happens to be. Let's say I am a public water angler, or I'm a bank only or whatever it happens to be. How can I use some of that fish biology knowledge? What are some of the things that I can do while I'm fishing or while I'm scouting digitally to try and make a determination on what water is going to hold bigger bass? Like if I'm targeting big bass, what are some of the things that I can do while I'm fishing or scouting to say, like, why should I pick this lake over this lake?
Okay, that's a really good question. And that will go back to our relative weight. Okay, so what we're talking about is weight relative to average. Remember, we talked about that.
Yep.
So here's what I'll just break it down like this. Here's what I know from experience. Bass that are growing well are always growing well. And ponds that are stunted, they stunt fairly quickly. So if I catch, say, a 12-inch bass that should weigh, look at my chart here. I have one right here. Can you guys see that?
Brought the chart.
Oh, there it is.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's say, what do we got?
I was going to get some pound.
14-inch bass it should be 1.5 pounds. You see that?
Yep.
Okay. So I go out to your pond out there and I catch a 14-inch bass and it weighs 1.3 pounds. Now it's a little bit light. That gives me information. Now, am I going to make a determination of the balance of your fishery based on one fish? No, I am not. Right. But what I do know is if that consistently happens to me, those fish aren't eating enough.
Yep.
And then I can go and use, say, a fly rod or another, maybe crickets or something else, and I can look at the bluegill population. I can also calculate their relative weight. Those other smaller things, the trash fish, the green sunfish, all those things will show up with those smaller. And that's what I'm going to get into some this year, how to assess your fishery with the tackle you already have.
Yep.
Okay, because millions and millions of pond owners, just like you said, can't afford me. They can't afford a shocking survey. They can't afford any of this stuff. But you know what? I don't need to do any of that stuff. The only thing I need are the numbers. So if you go to your pond and you catch fish, you catch your bluegill and you weigh them and measure them, and you catch your bass and you weigh them and measure them, that's all the information I need.
Love it.
That's awesome. So people in chat are asking, please show the other end of the chart real quick. So what is your 18 to 26 inch range poundage? 9.3 at 25. Yo.
So I caught
18 should be 3.2. See, we get a lot of like 18, 19, 20s.
Yes.
It would be like our big boys. We get pumped about that. We're
well,
like, 3.5, 4 pounders.
I caught a 20 plus this year, and yep. I didn't weigh it, but I know it was underweight. Now, granted, it was not at a great time of year. It's like the dead of summer. Mm-hmm. But I caught that fish, and how many times? I don't know. Maybe everyone else in chat. How many times? And I was gonna ask that question. I don't know if it's Nathan, but I'm going to in a second. How many times you caught a fish in August and been like, son of a, why didn't I get that sucker in like April?
Well, let me put it to you this way. Have you seen those fish that I've been posting that just look like absolute tanks?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. When you have a pond where they're chewing like that, they don't lose weight.
Got it.
Wow.
Because they've got the forage to maintain.
Yep.
Exactly. So people say, well, what happens when they lose weight after the spawn? Okay, no. Listen to me. You got an 8-pound fish. It puts on weight. Now it's 10. Then it spawns. It goes back to 8.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
If it's 8, I want that fish to be 24 inches.
Yeah, and
if
you're
it's
talking
not 24 inches, I got a problem.
Yep. And so you're talking about the difference between like the fluctuation keeping you above average versus the fluctuation keeping, like the spawning fluctuation that you expect keeping you above average when you get the bottom end versus when you get the fluctuation that fish is on the low end, like the 21er that I caught that was a below average. So that's a place where you're like potentially, you know, you got more data, but potentially you're saying when I catch those fish, spawned out or not, when they're below average on the range, that should be telling you like you potentially have a problem.
Yep, absolutely. Because when those fish come out of those healthier bodies of water, they're not below average even after the spawn, anytime during the year, never, never, never. As a matter of fact, when you put them in and they can chew like that, the only thing people always talk about the genetics. Okay, let's talk about genetics. All those fish that I just posted, not a one of them, as fat as big as they are, not a one of them's over 24 inches long, and not a one of them's over 10 pounds. So you know what I need to get true teeners and just gangster bass? I need 28, 29, 30-inch bass. Yep. That's the only genetic trait that I need. I need long, big fish in a pond they can chew.
And you just feed them.
Yep.
I freaking love it because this, and okay, I'm going to have to ask this other question first, but one, someone asked, where did we get a chart like the one you had?
Oh, you can screenshot them off my page. I got them for sale. I got stickers for sale for
you. Should have led with that. You should have led with that.
You know, it's fine, man. It's all public knowledge. You can get them from your local extension office.
No. You got them for sale.
Yeah, but you can buy it.
You should have stopped there. Chaz or Jeff, will you put his account back in? There it is. Thank you.
I just did, but real quick, our Max just booted Chris Shue like a jerk.
No!
Why did we give this guy moderator access?
No!
Freaking first day on the job, Max.
Yeah, Max, now you're fired from our show.
We're trying to get you a raise and everything.
Chris Shue is our dog, man. He's running this channel for us.
Chaz, email Chris Shue. Send him apologies per Max.
Sorry, Shane. We got to call people out when they get rid of the good folks on the chat.
Max, no more timeouts. You just get to be blue at your bench. You're a moderator. Just sit there and be happy.
So I'm gonna nerd out here for a second because I do a lot of hunting and I am constantly, especially because I'm a public land hunter, I'm always thinking about how is like public, you know, like what can I do to assess the public land that I can hunt? And it's really interesting, like the idea about QDMA, right? They're talking about like, no, you have to harvest males and females, and you actually need to, if you manage your female population, that's how you actually best manage the male population, right? So people are always talking about like back in the 60s, like never shoot a doe, like do not, like unless you have to, and then like any spike that they saw, they blow it away, and that was like a big deal. But that's how you end up, you never know the genetics of the deer on your property. You never end up with enough males growing up to be 2 and 3 years old to get the rack that you want. And if you're not harvesting females, you have so many females eating the browse that you can't grow big males. And so it's like all of a sudden you did the exact opposite of what you're supposed to do, which is like the idea about over catch and release. If you never keep one, you're not getting, all you're doing is limiting the amount of food that all those other fish can eat. And you're actually doing more damage than you are helping.
You are. And I use this example with people a lot. If I went to my local dog shelter and I adopted all the dogs down there, right, and I brought them home and somebody did a story about me, they would say what a nice guy that I am. But if they got here and saw all the dogs fighting for the squirrels and the rabbits and whatever food they could find in the yard, eating each other, starving to death back there, they wouldn't think I was such a nice guy. But that's exactly how people are trying to manage their bass populations. I've literally watched bass populations that have 8 to 9 inch bass that are stunted. They cannot grow, and they're jumping out of the water to try to catch dragonflies.
Yep.
Because they're starving. I actually had a guy hit me up about that. He was out in California, and I said, he was talking to me, has he ever seen bass jump for dragonflies? And I'm like, yeah, I have. The only time I've ever seen that is they were extremely stunted.
Or as a poster.
As it turns out, they were extremely stunted in that pond.
Wow. That is
or as a poster.
Yeah. But it's a great point, though, because I think there's a misconception around when you don't understand the whys, you don't have the best solution because people are so I get people upset with me when I tell them I keep non-bass fish, just non-bass, and I keep a handful of bass a year. It happens every year because I think not only is a bass sandwich delicious, and I'll fight you over that, but bass are actually really good when you mix them in with lighter, flakier fish because those lighter flake fish, they don't hold together real well. The bass holds together, it's got body, and so they make, like, when you mix pike with bass, it's better than crab cake. Like, you mix it all up, you make cakes out of it with cornmeal. We need to do a
freshwater crab cakes.
We need to do a video on that one. We had a great question.
We need to do like several recipes because somebody called that out earlier too. So it needs to be just like straight up cooking, trying different things. But we got to stock up on some meat first before we can really knock that out in the kitchen.
I got you for that. So here's one. I got a bunch of catfish. So we got great question. Dave, man, he's coming in hot today. He says, I see a lot of people holding bass wrong by wrenching the bottom jaw. Now, I think he's talking about the vertical hold where you kind of like angle them down. You let the body dangle vertically. He wants to know what's the right way and the wrong way.
That's good. I'm glad he touched on that one. I like talking to people about that. I see a lot of that on YouTube, and it's kind of a pet peeve of mine. You want to hold your fish. If you lip the fish, hold it straight down. Don't turn like this, okay? Don't put unnecessary pressure with the fish's weight on its jaw, because its jaw is how it lives. It's how it feeds. You can sprain it or you can break it. And it's really important to understand that. And what a lot of people do is they get in the habit of doing that with small bass. And you can get away with that on small bass. Mm-hmm. You start talking about 7+ pound fish, and you're going to break their jaws when you start wrenching them that way. So if you want to hold it horizontal, hold it exactly like that. I want a hand on the belly, and especially like right on the belly area, because when you take the fish out of the water, its internal organs all fall down. So you give a little support to the internal organs with your left hand and keep that lip right there. That's a good way to hold it. Remember to wet that hand before you touch the fish, or straight up and down, like that. Where it hangs by its own weight. And once they go over 10, I don't hang them off their jaw at all. I'll weigh them. One thing I want to tell people, like, even if you have the cheapest, like the hook scale, okay, get yourself a cheap net. Net the fish, weigh the fish and the net, put the fish back, weigh the net, subtract the two. That's the safest way to measure fish.
I like that, especially with the fish that you want being out there, because when you're talking about catch and release, that's the one you catch and release.
That's exactly my point. Please don't sprain the jaw of the 7.5 pounder.
Stop killing the friggin' giants, you guys.
You're killing me over here, guys. Right?
Yeah.
Dude, that is.
This is like that's a crash course so many anglers need. So this question came up earlier. I can't even remember who posted it, but I'm kind of paraphrasing here. On that note, with kind of novice rookie completely introduced to the entire sport this year, what kind of effects do you feel the pandemic has had on this? Because there's so many like new anglers, they're just happening across water, they're catching fish, they're like, neat, I don't know what to do with this. Do you feel like that's having a negative impact maybe on populations? And before you answer that question, Chris Shue, who just came back from being booted from the podcast.
Welcome back, brother. Max. We're gonna give Max some crap for that. I'll never forget.
Double up. Shaz saved him. Shue is back. Drops another $5, and I guess we'll do that as a follow-up question. But real quick, brief-ish summary. What do you think the pandemic has done?
It actually kind of. I started my Aquatic Biologist page last April 15th.
Okay.
I haven't been doing it any longer than that. It was my personal account before these pictures that I do some photography, just on the side. But and that was a big reason why I started. I went into the store and the tackle was gone, and I'd say for myself, just personally, like things that I wanted to accomplish in my life with my career. Maybe I haven't done what I wanted to do because there's a lot of people who are still living with bass heavy ponds. There's a lot of people who don't understand what's going on. And that bothers me very much. And when I saw that opportunity with all that new fishermen coming in and all that going on, I was like, I have a really good opportunity because people are going to be staring at their phones all day long to make an impact. And when I got that idea, man, I started posting every day, twice a day. I mean, anybody who follows me, I'm not on a schedule, man. I post when I think of something. I power through it,
But great content. I'm loving it.
Just I try to answer everyone's question. It's getting hard because it's getting really popular. There's a lot of questions. So if I miss you, I'm sorry. Bear with me. But that to me was a big part of what started all this was getting good information out to people and making a difference for our bass fisheries.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's a ton of new anglers in the sport, which I think is doing good things for the sport, but they definitely need people like you to follow, which is one of the main reasons we wanted to definitely have you on the episode today. It's like your feed is awesome. The fact that you try to answer everybody's questions is awesome. You're answering a lot of questions tonight. We're learning a lot tonight, which is great. And it's like, it's not just this thing where you go out, you sling a thing with a hook on it, you jack a jaw, you hold a fish, you take that grip and grin picture and toss them back. There's a lot more that goes into it, and going into that level of fish care and understanding the waters that you fish, I think is huge. I'm definitely interested to dive a lot more into that this year with our channel too. Just learn a lot more and have a better impact. And hopefully, like you guys getting into angling or getting back into it, like this is useful for you too. So we really appreciate that. I do got to call out my boy Chris Shue's question real quick. So he does ask. Shan, what are the best hooks to catch and help the fish, if any? Are there like good hooks, bad hooks? I guess we're kind of asking here. Things to use or avoid.
Sure. No. Well, I mean, there's risk with every hook that you use. The term that we use is called hook mortality. Okay. So in places like are your publicly fished, heavy fish, getting 1 million fishermen a year or whatever type places, that hook mortality is significant. You're going to catch them in the gill or catch them in the tongue, get a bleeder. Any fish caught in the gill bleeding profusely is probably not going to live. I'd probably maybe a 90% chance of death there.
Gotcha.
But
what about barbless versus like the hook keepers, right? Like your traditional.
Traditionally, I think barbs are just on a hook to keep the bait on the hook.
The ones on the shank, and you have no problem with the barb at the tip, right?
Not really, no. I mean, like I said, if most of my ponds, a little mortality would be beneficial. They're not fishing enough for hook mortality to be a significant impact on the fishery. Let's put it that way. Perfect. So I don't worry about hook mortality. That's kind of just like part of doing business. Yep. If you gill one, you gill one. You can keep it, make some fish tacos, whatever. You can turn it back. You're probably giving a turtle a nice meal later tonight or some aquatic insects or whatever. Yep. But, it's going to be, that energy is going to be recycled back into the system. You haven't ruined the fishery. You haven't destroyed anything. It's just like, it's kind of part of
I love that. I love that mindset. And I think that is really helpful because that'll happen every now and then. It's kind of frustrating. You're like, gosh, dang it. Like, really? Why did this have to happen? But that's a great point to bring up. And real quick, 2 shout outs. We got 2 super chats here. Yeah. Quick timeout. We got Matt Hobson, $5 donation for 2 of my favorite fishing content creators. Yo, thank you. That's awesome. And we got David Butler as well with I could listen to Shan talk fish science all day long. So is there like a fish science ASMR channel? Like, you basically.
I think we're on it.
Yeah, you guys are it, man.
So I want to Oh man, I'm not even gonna get into it. I could have gone super nerd on everybody. I'm not gonna do
Here comes
that.
a rabbit hole. Going down the rabbit hole.
I
sense a rabbit hole.
I could straight rabbit hole us. I'm not gonna do it.
Do it for the people.
Yeah. So one thing I want to do is we've been on for a bit. What I really want to get to back to some of the stuff that really drew me to your account, like from the second I got on. And actually, one of the things that I thought was really cool was, you're not just like, it's not all science all the time. You talked about it like you grew up fishing, right? And it was a family thing, and dude, you legit like fish all the time, right? And one thing that I think is really cool is like you're geeking out on the same kind of stuff that I do. So one of the things I wanted to call out was, is it G-Crack? Is that how you pronounce that brand of plastics?
The Gill.
The Bellows Gill guys, man.
So the Bellows Gill was what I was going to call out. Again, everyone needs to go to this account. I'm going to go get some of those because I've seen a couple of those photos, not just on the free rig either, just the ones that you rig up on those light wire EWGs offsets, the offsets. Dude, I'm in. I'm sold. They are freaking cool, man.
I saw that about September.
Mm-hmm.
Online. I don't know. I fell down a rabbit hole somewhere and I came across that thing and I was like, wow, look at that bait right there. So I went and got it off the internet there. Ordered it, took a couple weeks, finally came in. I ordered the big ones, the 5/8, and I've got a nice 200-acre lake over here that throws off some good fish. But it's real light on bass. The cormorants eat a lot of the fish out of there.
Oh, so God!
It's one of the places that around here that doesn't have too many bass. It actually has too few. Mm-hmm. But I've found that it's a great place to test lures because those bass are so well fed. Right? So I've noticed that the stuff that produces there produces everywhere. If that makes sense.
No, absolutely. So for what Jeff and I do, we look for the same water.
I grabbed that 5/8, man, and I took it over there. And I'm talking about within 30 minutes, I had it was just under 8 pounds. It was like 7 pounds, 14. First fish I caught, had it on a Tokyo rig. Why? Just jacked it too, man. Those fish come so unglued on that 5/8 Bellows Gill. I had one, man. I don't even know how big it was. It sounded like a bowling ball fell back in the lake when it spit it. It took me like a tuna. I made the cast too long and it picked it up on the fall. And I thought the fight was over here, and the fight was over here. It literally went 80 yards with the dang thing. And just really, really impressive. I've been fishing a long time and they don't pay me. They did send me some free ones. That was cool. Appreciate that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
No, this isn't paid or anything, I've not seen fish get triggered like that in a long time.
Jeff, I think we're going to have to do an unbagging on some of those.
I guess. What's your favorite ways to rig it? Give me like top 3 real quick, because some people are asking in chat too.
Okay, so the first day I fished it with a Tokyo rig. And I did good on that. And then then I lost it in the rocks. So I went to a big one, like a 7/0 belly weight Gamakatsu.
That's what I was looking at.
3/8 an ounce on that one, on the 5/8. And what I do with that one, man, is it's real versatile bait too, because you can drag it on the bottom. Or you can just pop it right under the surface, almost like a surface lure, then stall it and let it fall. I've been fishing it I don't think there's a bad way to fish one, honestly.
It's just got to get wet.
Pretty much. Put it in the water, and then, if it's not hit the big one, go to the 3/8.
Yeah.
I love it. We did have a question came up. It's been popping back up. So this is from our guy, John Gill, here in chat. Can you confirm the scales, that put the hook in the gill are bad compared to the scales with the clip? So like the little grippers.
Oh, yeah.
Are they bad or not bad?
I prefer the lip gripper.
Gripper. Okay.
Yes, I have had a situation where you put it in the scale, you put that there, the fish kicks, rips its own gill out. And the fish was like 9 pounds, 15 ounces that did it. And it makes you want to puke.
Yeah.
So it happened
That
to me
hurts me
once.
now.
And I never stuck another, one of those.
Does that answer your question?
And you see like a lot more now. Like nowadays, they have the fish grippers instead of like that hook. Yeah. So I mean, that's cool. But it's very, very good information to know. We also have.
I'll plug another product that doesn't pay me any money. McLean Way Nets. It's a net that has a scale in the handle. And I like those very, very much. And McLean, you guys could send me a free net. That'd be awesome.
Maybe we'll grab one of those, do an unboxing. If we get one, we'll send one to you.
Send me all right, thanks, man. Buy a bunch.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to do. You know what we'll do? We should do a whole Shan O'Gorman Aquatic.
The man.
Shan the man. We'll do a whole episode of just all the stuff that Shan the man likes, and we'll do the unboxing of all of it.
Done deal. I love it.
Great.
We got another from Chad. B. Dooley, of course, it's got to happen every episode. Like we got to ask this question.
All right.
What's the biggest fish you ever caught?
I actually don't know.
Thank you.
I didn't have a scale.
I've ever heard.
I didn't have a scale.
It was big.
Yeah, I know how long it was. 27 and a half.
Shut up. Yo, that hurts my feelings. I'm gonna be honest.
Dude. I'm telling you, man. When I had the lip, it felt like I couldn't grip. My hands are pretty big too. I can palm a basketball, and it felt like I couldn't get my thumb around the lip all the way. So I'm gonna have to grab one 27 and a half and feel a lip like that, and then I'll know. But I don't know how big it was, but it was big.
I feel personally attacked at how big your bass was. That's ridiculous. That's silly.
Absurd. I don't know. I don't understand what you're saying, but I'm going to take that as an offense.
No.
Wait. So follow up to his question was, and what is your favorite knot to tie?
I've been working with the, now you guys probably, that's a good, it's out of my head there. Is it the Palomar? Goes
the
back
Palomar knot?
and tie it around once. Yeah, I use that one a lot. We have a lot of muddy, like stained water here. So I can go to straight braid a lot and just moose them, and I'll use that knot because it doesn't cut itself.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I stick with that one on most of the lure there. And if I have to go with a knot like if I'm going with like a leader line,
yes,
to a like fluoro or mono, like braid to fluoro, I'll usually go with the old I call it a lefty cray knot, but I think some people call it a seagar.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That's probably not a great knot for a beginner, but definitely
I know how to tie it, so I go with that one.
No, yeah, it's
learn better knots. Got
absolutely.
It. Best advice from Shan the man. He says learn better knots.
Another one of your posts I like that Jeff and I actually did a video on was the bearing install.
Yeah. Oh, that just happened.
Got those guys right here.
Yes.
Speed spool, right?
Yeah, man. Speed spool, high speed bearings. That was a good thing to do, man. I highly recommend that.
So, and this is I have a feeling, right, that I know based on some comments that some people will say, they cost like $80 or whatever, right?
50.
45 is what I gave it. Yeah,
$50.
It depends. It depends on which kit you get. So like we just did this install. We did it on the SLX. You did it on the SLX too, right?
Yeah.
So I know nothing about the internals of a reel. This is like literally the first time I'm like, cool, this is what's in here, neat. And like, sure, I'll try to maintain them more. I tell you guys, wink, wink. I'm not gonna, but like. It was cool just to like take it apart for one. I totally jacked it up the first time, had to take it apart a second time. You guys didn't see that in the take. It's out of the flick. But it was not that hard to like do the whole thing, especially like the outer two bearings, and then you have to pop off the side case. But like for you, what I want to know is what was for one, like, do you think it was a fairly easy install? Okay, great. And then two, what was like the most difficult part that if I were a newbie getting into checking out spool speed and trying this thing, what should I be afraid of or like do some research on?
Well, I can tell you where I screwed up.
Might be the same as me.
Yeah. Take everything apart, and I knew enough about it to know to place it in a line. Take it as you take it off. Don't lose anything. So the first thing that I lost was the clicker on.
The first thing I lost.
You know how the drag clicks?
Yep, the clicker spring.
The clicker spring. Yeah,
I lost it too.
Yeah. I found it miraculously.
Me too.
Yeah. And then I had to figure out how to put it back together.
Where does it go? There's like a little hole it drops in, and then you put the disc on top.
And there's like a little, it's about the size of a ballpoint pen.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's that part. So right off the jump, watch the clicker on the drag washer there. And then the other part that I had trouble with is when I got it apart there and kind of where that slide went, like taking that spring apart.
Yes.
That spring mechanism part, and where I was smart is before I did anything, I took a picture of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
that was tough.
Then I had something to look back on after I screwed up.
Yeah, that was definitely like same pretty tough part. I will say I left this in the flick, but like I pulled a bearing retainer spring, the little hexagon spring, and it just like flung out of my tweezers, and you just hear tink tink tink.
Yeah.
And it disappeared from the face of the earth. As soon as it hit the ground, it was like pff, gone. It is somewhere else. My wife says it's like, you guys remember Thor Ragnarok? It was like that planet where all of like the portals go to, where Jeff Goldblum is the king. It ended up there. That's where all the lost things go. I was like, are you serious?
AKA cracking the floorboards. It's gone forever.
Yeah, 100%. I had to make my own, and then I ordered a spare one.
Yeah.
That was my first time too. I'd never done that before. Yeah.
So, it was so cool though, right?
Yeah, it was cool, man. Just like you said, it was like I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna break a reel, I'll break this $100 one.
That's what I said, and people were like, "Are you serious?" I was like, "Yes, I'm serious."
Absolutely.
It's the
but
one.
Dude, did you like it? I mean, mine feels like a Corrado now. It's a nice reel.
It is so smooth. I can't wait to go cast it. Yeah, I'm pumped.
I can't wait to put the same braid as Jeff has on his SLX and then steal it when he's not looking. After obviously he gets the right bearing retainer.
This is literally gonna happen. It's absolutely gonna happen. But yeah, so they had that was like, you did the full tune kit, right? So the full tune kit's like $45, $48, whatever. But they do have just like, you can replace just the outer bearings. They have reel handles. They got all sorts of stuff. But you can literally take it like an Abu Garcia Black Max at $50 and make it like $150, $200 reel.
You absolutely can, man. And if you have like an old reel or something, go for it. I don't see the problem. Well, who cares? I mean, what are you gonna do? It is such an impressive upgrade. I ran into those guys. I had to do a speech. One of the local fishing guides here, Jimbo on Lanier, asked me to do a presentation at an expo that he does every year. And I ran into those guys down at the expo. I had never even seen it before. But yeah, I grabbed it and did it, and it wasn't a problem.
That's freaking awesome.
Love it.
So do you get a lot of people like trying to correct you on IG?
No, man, not really.
It's called mansplaining. Don't get mansplained. Fishplain.
Well, I try to keep it in my lane. I got a lot of experience with what I did and what I do. So much so that, and I've answered so many questions about it, that I can usually, where you have problems like that is when you have miscommunication.
Yeah.
Right? So if I'm getting a problem with somebody where maybe it feels like it's being argumentative, I immediately think to myself, okay, how am I not explaining this right? Where am I failing? And I try to be direct. I try not to be argumentative, and that's kind of hard. Sometimes it comes across that way, maybe a little bit, but I just try to give people facts as I know them, at least based on my experience. And I find that most of the time when you can give somebody real world experience, like, okay, I see what you're saying, but this is what happens. Like I did at the beginning with my friend Mickey's pond.
Yeah.
You know, let's talk about it in real world terms. Let's talk about it in dollars and cents. Let's talk about it in labor costs. Let's talk about it in, you know, how you're going to tackle that project. And when you start looking at it, you know, from a project management standpoint like that, most people understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, because they think about their pocketbook.
Sure.
I love it.
You know, it's like people want to give these ideas of like Crappie. That's the last one that came by. You know, oh well, what if we did this or what if we did that? Well, sure, we could theoretically do those things. How much money do you have?
Yeah, you'll take it.
You know what I mean? Sure. But you know, when I give you the bill, you're going to be like, oh,
well,
you're not going to want to do that anymore.
Yeah. Well, so for those of you taking notes still, Jeff, we should probably fire up that giveaway. But what I want to
giveaway, what giveaway? For $25, a gift card that we could give to you guys from Monster Bass that you could use on monsterbass.com for possibly Burly fishing merch. That giveaway?
That's the one.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we can do that one. Try to get it rolling. So if you guys want to enter the giveaway, we're going to keep rolling here for another couple minutes before we announce the winner. You know the drill if you were here last week or, you know, if you've been on Rudd's podcast, you just got to enter stuff into chat. So start chatting. Throw us questions. I'll try and catch them as it starts flying by. But whoever's still here, you got a shot at winning $25 from monsterbass.com. So start chatting. And then Chaz is going to do a random chat chooser. We're going to pick a winner. And as long as it's not exactly the same person as was last week, or maybe it is, then we will announce the winner. It's going to be a good time. All right. So chat. Paul, continue.
So, you know, if you're not taking notes, and this is something that like Instagram can be, YouTube seems to be like in general pretty positive, like in the comments anyways. Like there's not like you get the odd hater in there and you get the odd thumbs down sadness, but for the most part it's pretty positive. Facebook is a wasteland. I can't stand. I've been off of it for well over a decade and it's the best decision I ever made. Instagram for me falls somewhere in between. You can definitely get like you can get some hate mail and you can get some people who are big names and big creators and you probably never hear back. So if you're following somebody, and in this case, if you're following Shan, what I love about his account is that it's very transparent, but he really does a nice job of responding to everybody that's on there. And we were talking, Jeff and Shan and I were talking before the show, and I find that to be the most genuine thing when people are, you know, on there to try and they feel like they're trying to provide a service in a way. Like they enjoy reaching out. They enjoy when people reach out to them and then they respond to you in a genuine way where they're not just saying like, cool, thanks. You don't just get like, you know, emoji bye, right? Like it's very much like they want to have the interaction. Shan's account is very much like that. So I highly recommend going to follow his account. And it's because someone recommended him to me and I literally was on there for like a couple of days. I was like, dude, we got to get this guy on the podcast. This is awesome. And that's not that that's like a super rare thing, but it definitely, you automatically end up in the upper echelon of people in my book. So thanks for joining the show. Thanks for being a really, really cool person to follow and then bringing the knowledge, because it's kind of hard to find people who are willing to share knowledge that's usable and want to do it in a way that makes a lot of sense. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you for that, man. I've had such an outpouring of positivity from Instagram. I mean, maybe I've had to block 2 guys that were just obnoxious jerks, you know, that I just couldn't, but overwhelmingly positive. Really, really just, I never expected, you know, I just figured I'd be helping a few people with a couple ponds, you know. It's morphed into, I had no idea the fishermen would pay so much attention to me. I really don't have that many pond owners that follow me. I've got a few, they're there, but predominantly I think the fishermen, because, you know, I am a professional fisherman. Mm-hmm. You know, I catch fish for money. And like, if you need 500 bass from the Savannah River for, you know, mercury testing, you know, I catch fish for money.
I like that.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And I don't fish in tournaments for that reason, because it's stressful. Okay, fishing's hard, even with gill nets and a shocking boat and all the scientific equipment. it's hard, and I don't want to be relying on sport fishing for income. So I don't have anything to protect. My job is to put people on fish. If you hire me to grow fish in your pond, maybe you don't have fishing skill like I do. Maybe you need a little bit of help. I've done a lot of coaching that way because people look at me that way, you know, as a client. So I think over the years, that's helped me tremendously and help maybe communicate properly. So you're not stepping on people's toes, you know, hurting people's egos. Fishing can be funny that way, man. You know what I mean?
It takes about 12 seconds and whatnot are you using, and all of a sudden you get into
12 seconds and whatnot. What should I season these bass with? And then it's just off on a tangent. Here we go. Hey, man, like, I really appreciate the knowledge. I do got to drop a little, just a little. Chris Shue is back with another super chat. $10 super chat. Come on, homie. Come on. Says, great podcast. Can't wait till next week. You guys spend lots of money. I do as well. To share knowledge. To share knowledge. The knowledge is yours, people. That's why you should follow this guy right now, because you're going to learn so much. And especially, like I keep saying, if you guys are just getting into fishing or just getting back into fishing, never were that serious about it, whatever it is, it's good to know this stuff, right? And that's why fishermen are following you, man. Like, hopefully it's a lot of, like you said, it's mostly positive engagement. So it's people that actually want to learn and hear about things and you know, like, learn the sport and learn how to take care of
fish. Man, exactly. I won't turn anybody away. I'll mark the maps where I fish. I'll show people. I'll take you guys with me. I'll put it on your podcast. I don't care if you know where I'm fishing. I've got private lakes that are trophy managed that I can fish in if I want to go catch tanks. I've got a couple. Sometimes it's not how many ponds you manage; it's whose ponds you manage.
Heck yeah, man! I love it.
That's awesome, man. Well, yeah. So, Chaz, let's do this giveaway. Yeah, we got a winner. 41. All right. I like it. Pima 623. Pima 623. Oh. Pima 623, say something. Hit us up in chat. PIMA 623.
If you exist, and thanks.
If you are a human being, you have won. Oh, wow. He says, bam, he did it.
We don't know. There they are.
Pima 623, you did it. Congrats, brother. That will be a $25 gift card, which we're going to email you. So I need you to hit us up at what is our friggin' email, John?
Solid work. Nice done.
It's Chaz's email that we made for the podcast, and I always forget if there's an S on it. Okay. Oh, all right. So Pima 623. If you did not hear Chaz, were you on mute? You're just muting me, dog. All right. Oh, perfect. Yeah. Pima 623. Post your email in chat. It'll get blurred out. Chaz will get it, and then we'll take care of you. I'll email you a gift card by tomorrow sometime, but it'll just be an electronic one. So it's nice and easy to use. You just get the code, you go on monsterbass.com. There you go. So, and again, thanks to Monster Bass for sponsoring the podcast. They allow us to do this $25 gift card giveaway every single week.
I was to say, if you didn't win, we saw some boo faces, bro. We do it every week, man.
Who said
that's boo? That's a lot of gift cards, my guy. You can win this one.
Oh, it's Greg. Greg, you're gonna win one of these, man. Don't worry. We do it every single week. All right, so stay tuned for next week, because we have I don't know who, and I haven't read the show notes yet, so I have no freaking clue, and I won't read them by then either. But there will be a $25 gift card giveaway, so you guys definitely should come back every single week for that. So I just wanted shout outs there. But yeah, Shan, the man, O'Gorman, thank you so much for being on. Again, you guys follow this guy. It's at Aquatics Biologist, _biologist. It's in there. So go check him out. Great feed, great picks. by the way, too. You said you do photography on the
Oh,
side.
yeah, man. I appreciate that. Actually, I just learned today I had another, we have a local art gallery that I submit to every year. And one of my photos got into a jury exhibit for next month. Yeah. Yeah. It's my third year in a row getting in. So I'm real proud of that.
That's freaking awesome, man.
No, I thought you were going to be like, I just learned how to do that today. And then, like, had this back catalog of so many good pictures. Like,
I started taking pictures about 5 years ago. Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, great. If for anything, just the pictures are so cool. Saw, like, your bass fry in the net the other day. I was like, oh, that's dope. And then, obviously, the giant freaking fish that you guys see on the thumbnail of this live. So there you go. You want to see some cool pics? Follow this guy. Appreciate you being on. Hey, guys, if you like the podcast, we do this every single week, 8 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays. We're live. The recording goes up on Fridays, so be sure to subscribe to us anywhere that you listen to podcasts. You can drop us a 5-star review. That helps us grow the show a lot. We appreciate it very, very much. If you can drop a comment, anything positive there, it's fantastic. And, of course, follow us on social media at Burly Fishing. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. And I think that's it. Paul, we good?
We're
Chaz, shall we go out? Let's go out. Take us out, Chaz.